Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and welcome to all our guests this morning, especially our honored guest, Dr. Fathima Hendricks. But before we start, as we always do, we will start with a dua.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين اهدنا الصراط المستقيم صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين Amen. All praises are due to Allah, the Lord of the universe, the beneficial, the merciful, master of the day of judgment. You alone we worship and you alone we ask for help. Show us the straight path, the path of those who are in your favor, and not of those who are in your anger, and not of those who go astray. Amen.
Jazakallah. I now call upon our principal, Hafizat, to welcome our guest.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Inna alhamdulillah wa salatu wa salamu ala rasulihi Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Respected parents and learners, it gives me great pleasure, and I also feel humble to stand in front of an honorable guest this morning to welcome one and all. On behalf of the Palestine Solidarity Group Pietermaritzburg, as well as Nizamia Islamic School, I would like to welcome Dr. Fathima Hendricks, who accepted our invitation at the last minute, and we are very appreciative of it. And inshallah, she will share some important insights, especially with regards to her journey on the flotilla to Gaza, the Sumud flotilla to Gaza. She will speak for a short while, and thereafter the floor will be open to ask questions, inshallah.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فصلي يا ربي وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا محمد واغفر لنا يا خير الغافرين اللهم صل على سيدنا محمد النور وآله. Honorable Principal, leadership of Nizamia Islamic School, our leadership from the Department of Education, from the Palestine Solidarity Group and other PSOs, our mothers, grandmothers, sisters, brothers, grandfathers, uncles, aunts, and honorable learners. It's indeed an honor to be here in Pietermaritzburg again. Many, many years ago, I was a resident of Pietermaritzburg. I worked at Fort Napier Hospital, and I lived at Gray's Hospital in the residence. So it is wonderful to be back to a place I call home, and a home that I know is filled with incredible hospitality, but also earnest solidarity and struggle with the Palestinian people, as well as earnestly rooted in our South African realities, in the struggle for land, in the struggle against poverty, in the struggle for better lives for all of the peoples of this country. Thank you so much for having me. Today, I am grateful to you. I'm grateful to you because you are helping me fulfill a responsibility I have to bear witness and to share the testimonies of what I've witnessed being on the flotilla, experiencing being kidnapped by the Israeli regime, being held in prison by the Israeli occupying forces, and to testify and give glimpses into what the lives of Palestinians are actually like. So thank you for having me here to fulfill this responsibility. In Arabic, we have a saying that says, La shukran ala wajib. And this means that there's no thanks for that which is obligatory. We are not heroes. We are servants of the struggle. We are not to be held in awe, but we are fulfilling an obligation on our community to stand up firmly for justice, to stand up in the face of oppression, and to work with the peoples of our communities for better lives for all that is rooted on compassion and for justice. So thank you for understanding that context. I sailed from Tunisia. There were many boats. We sailed from Italy, from Spain, from Greece, from Libya, from Turkey, and I was on the boat called Responsibility, I felt, to be on this boat, to sail to the Palestinian people, on a boat with fellow Africans from Tunisia, from Algeria, and one comrade sister from Ireland. We were about 46 people from 46 nations around the world, and we were over 50 boats. How many of you actually tracked us on the global Sumo trackers? Okay. You could actually pick the name of the boat and you could track where we were on our journey in the Mediterranean. Thank you so much for all of you that tracked us. We were attacked twice by the IOF, bombed in Tunisia. When we were in Greece, we were attacked about 14 times with incendiary devices, flashbangs, gas, chemicals, or unidentified substances. The night came where a life on a boat is not easy. So any of you that is grossed out, that needs to bath every day, it was not for you. We bathed every 3 to 4 days in the ocean. Some of our boats did not have functioning toilets, so we used the bucket system for poo and for pee. Try cooking on a boat, okay? It is not easy. With the waves like that, we hardly had supplies, only pasta, rice, some cans of tuna, and we would barter for some vegetables. If we got anything fresh from the other boats, we were delighted. Okay? We had a lot of eggs. So the reason I tell us this story is that whether it's the South African struggle or the struggles in Palestine, the struggle against oppression is connected around the globe. We were people from every conceivable difference you can imagine. Race, class, gender, professional aptitude, intellectual and emotional aptitudes, sexual orientation, political persuasions. I mean, it was every conceivable difference. But people were united so that we could, united in the single truth that we were going to get to Gaza and that this genocide is wrong and that people needed to eat, right? So the night of interception came. We were about 40 nautical miles and we had been under harassment on the ocean by the Israeli army for 10 hours. We were told by Tiago to spread the word that there was a naval blockade up ahead. We were sailing towards the naval blockade, and as we reached it, naval boats began circling us. Speedboats, a massive ship with bright lights, other smaller naval ships. Remember, we are a civilian fleet on civilian boats in international waters. And Israel breached every single international law. From the 4th article of the Geneva Convention to maritime law to every international standard, with impunity. They told us to stop out. They hit us with 4 attacks of high-pressure water cannons. Our boats were vibrating like this. Water was coming through. We thought the glass would crack. We saw other boats that were continually being sprayed. They would come, they would go, we would move, they would stop, we would evade them, we would cut across. We were doing several maneuvers to try to get away. Eventually, they got to us, pulled up against, had heavy machinery faced towards us, and told us we needed to stop, that we were being intercepted, that we were breaching the naval blockade, their military blockade, to be sailing in Israeli waters. We told them that we were humanitarian workers, that we were in international waters, and that they needed to stand down. Subsequently, they told us to raise our hands. We never ever raise our hands in the face of oppressors. We put our hands in front of us to show that we had nothing, no weapons. Previously, before this, we threw all our knives overboard. We threw any pole, anything that could be considered a weapon, we threw it overboard, so that there would never be justification, any story or hasbara they could make up about us that we were violent. We had to throw our phones overboard, and the reason is because if the Israeli occupation forces know that I'm speaking to this gentleman and you, they can come after you. And you won't even know that it's the Mossad or IOF that has actually come after you, because they can build out the entire network. So we threw our phones overboard. They came on board. They took us to the front of the boat, where we had to hold the handrails and sit. And they then took us one by one for searching and to get our passports. And at that point, we were kidnapped, our boat was stolen, our aid was stolen, and we were heading towards Ashdod. We sat in the sun all the way to Ashdod. When we got there, we were the first 3 boats that arrived. The port was full of ministers, press, IOF soldiers, waiting on the port for us. The first boat was Captain Nikonos with Rima Hassan, the French MP. We were the second boat. On our boat, we had Dr. Makri, who was actually on the Mavi Marmara in 2010, right? Where 9 activists were killed. We had a 71-year-old female, Sayeda Zubeida, an MP, Member of Parliament from Algeria, that was on our boat. We had journalists, a range of different people. We got off the water and immediately accosted by 2 soldiers who took us into Ashdod. And from there, I'm sure you've all heard what happened about the stripping of my hijab, the 2 strip searches, having to wear an undergarment, mocking because I am a breast cancer survivor, and then being taken from one processing to another processing to another processing, and each time being denied my request for legal representation and consular services. I refused to pick up the pen of the Zionist regime, signed absolutely no papers admitting to anything, requesting for anything, and knew at that time that I would go to a court hearing by implication. We were then taken through, when they saw the South African passport, they said, "Welcome to paradise." Because there's a long-standing adversarial, rightly so, relationship between the illegal state of Israel and the South Africans' struggle for liberation. We were shoved around, literally thrown into the trucks. So not its steps, we were literally taken and thrown into the truck, the prison trucks, and sat under lock and chain in this prison truck for hours without ventilation, hot, and then driven to the desert to Keziat prison. And we were in Keziat prison. We arrived. At that point, we had had no water, no food, no toilet for at least a day. Okay? Try that sometime. Okay. And then when we got to the prison, we were processed, taken to the doctor, given access to a toilet, and we were given our prison clothes, which was the gray clothes. If you watched the press conference, you would have seen us in the gray tracksuits. And at that point, I took off my T-shirt that they gave me and wrapped it on my head, so that would be my hijab for the first time. I've been wearing hijab from the age of 11, so you can imagine I'm 50 now. So you can imagine what that experience was like. When I got to the prison, I was one of 5 people, the first 5 women that got to that prison. And this was a male prison that they had made empty for us in our arrival. We got there. It is like Guantanamo Bay. That's the only way I can describe it. We were in cages with barbed wire when we were being processed. We were there were cells, there was a courtyard, above it was wire, there was solitary confinement, there was a guarded area. At the top, there were soldiers patrolling so they could shoot from the top down into the quad. There were bullets on all the walls. There were bullets on the ceiling of our prison cell. There were writings of Palestinian prisoners, and we had quite a few sessions of holding space where we actually just sat in the cell and with our comrades went through the writings of what the Palestinians had written on the walls about where they'd come from, how long they'd been in prison, and their stories. It was etched on the walls. For me, a moment of hope was when I saw a prisoner had put the direction of the Qibla on the wall, and I saw the arrow. And it was a great sense of connection with that prisoner, as well as gratitude that I knew which way I would be praying. In the quad, there was blood-spattered walls, and I had gone up and put my fingerprint, my hand on that print. It was the print, I'm assuming, of a martyr, and I'd prayed for them and the many, many martyrs that had come through that prison. We had an incident where we were actually threatened with physical violence, with guns in our faces. I shared a cell with Greta Thunberg, for whom I have an incredible respect, a young 22-year-old Swedish climate activist that sees the ecocide that's happening in Gaza and acted. She was repeatedly taken from our cell. Every couple of hours, they would say, "Greta, where's Greta?" And they would come in and take Greta. Greta had to sit in front of the Israeli flag and kiss it. She had to kneel in front of Ben Gvir while he spoke down to her and ranted and raved on her. She had to go and meet with a bunch of high-powered Israeli ministers, just this one little 22-year-old by her lonesome. That's the brutality and insanity of this Israeli occupiers. Eventually we started getting food, and so we were sharing some of the food in the cell, and suddenly the door barged open. They said, "You need to come now." We're like, "What's going on?" "You need to move cells." We're like, "Okay, must we take the mattresses?" Because we were crammed. We were like 14 in a little room, and we had fought to get mattresses, and we eventually got the mattresses, and we wanted to take the mattresses to the other cell. So they said, "Don't bring it. It's okay. There are mattresses in the other cell." So we got up, we moved to the other cell, and then saw these metal beds, and we were like, "What is going on? Where are our mattresses?" So some of the comrades went back to fetch the mattresses. They came back, I put it into the cell, they went back for the second round. As they returned, the soldiers started to tussle with the mattresses, not wanting us to take it into the rooms. And a whole fight ensued where one of our comrades was pushed to the ground. Another comrade, beautiful sister from Spain, Rigo, she wrapped her arms and her body around our other comrade to protect her, while we were screaming, trying to get them to stop. and they dragged her on the floor by her hair, and it escalated, eventually getting into pulling them back, us pulling our comrades back into the cell and shutting the door so that we could stabilize ourselves. A few minutes passed, and the next thing we knew was that we were being raided. The riot, were preparing, I looked through and I saw riot, them getting ready with riot gear. They stormed our room, came right up, pushed us against the wall, onto the floor, legs like kneeled, and with full armor, unarmed women, 10 unarmed women. I think we were about 10 at the time. Crazy, unarmed, trying to get mattresses so that we could sleep. Escalated from 0 to 1,000 just like that, in a matter of seconds, with these sniper guns in our heads, ready to do whatever they wanted to do with us. And they came with dogs as well behind us. I mean, like 20, 30, I don't know how many, like dozens of them with dogs, and came in and took forcibly our 2 comrades to isolation. And Reyes was just released a day or 2 ago. She spent an extra 8 or 9 days after our release, and she was fined $3,000 because she acted in self-defense as they were pulling her hair, dragging her on the ground, and she had to plead guilty. The very first time that I actually saw a lawyer was at my court hearing. I was sitting in real time in front of the judge, meeting my lawyer, just as this gentleman, sorry, your name again? Sunil. Just as Mr. Sunil is sitting here, and hello, and I'm your lawyer, and that is the conversation, like, hello, nice to meet you, and here we are in front of the judge, defending myself for the charges against me. So the most moral army, the most supposed army, the only democracy in the Middle East, we are told, this is the way they bear down on us. So the reason I tell these stories is that we can understand what's happening to the Palestinians. There are over 400 children in prison. Children, like kiddies, children in prison. There are Palestinians in prison without trial, charge, administrative detention. A law was passed in September that Israel has a right to kill prisoners in prison. The bodies that are being released in the supposed ceasefire deal are coming back, I mean, with evidence of torture, of abuse. I'm a member of Healthcare Workers for Palestine, South Africa. Over 1,500 healthcare workers have been killed. Dr. Hussam Abu Safia is still in jail, imprisoned. Many other healthcare workers. They've annihilated the healthcare system, and this has been, the genocide has been not only if they're killing people, but it's been a mass disabling crime against humanity with the amputees, etc. So I'm going to leave it there because I think it's more interesting to hear from you. And I thank you. I want to say that, and later on maybe we'll get a chance to talk about specific actions, call to action that I'm calling our community to engage with. But for now, I hope that's okay. Okay, so the question is, what does the watermelon represent? So thank you so much for that question. In Palestine, and if you go into occupied Palestine, Israel, you are not allowed to have any symbolism of the existence of a Palestinian state. And so if you look at the colors of a watermelon, the colors of the watermelon are the colors of the Palestinian flag. And so we have substituted the movement, the Palestinians have substituted the Palestinian flag with watermelons. So, and also in countries where the Palestinian flag is banned, they've now also beginning to ban the watermelon, right? That's the insanity. Okay. So it's an act of liberation, act of resistance. So when we were in the quad, in our cells, they played the October 7 video, their version, over and over and over again with their music, 24/7 on high volume. We couldn't sleep. We were woken every 1.5 hours for counting, with tortures, for some reason or the other. And the Arab sisters, they made up a song with the same tune to this music. And these are little acts of resistance. And this is what we take leadership from in the Palestinian people. We are not, just leading this. We are standing back in solidarity with the leaders who are leading their own liberation, and that is the Palestinian people. So. So the question is, what was the process to get onto the flotilla? I'd wanted to join the global movement to Gaza and couldn't make it. So this global Samud flotilla was a coalition of 4 main movements, which is the Freedom Flotilla, which had been sending flotillas from 2005, mobilizing, and we got to see Ruth and some of the others, activists in Tunisia. The Nusantara movement from Asia, the global movement to Gaza, and one other I forget right now. And they had put out a call for those that wish to apply for the Freedom Flotilla. There were about 30,000 applications. You had to have previous activism experience, international working experience, could bring something to the boat. So my expertise is in mental health and well-being and spirituality. Were maybe removed from your boat, redeployed, taken to land, evacuated medically because you couldn't stand the conditions of the boat. So therefore, this is Allah Ta'ala's facilitation. Shukran so much. That's a really important question about lies, about truth, and about Hasbara, the propaganda engine of the Israelis, the Israeli occupiers. So throughout this, I had opportunity to actually engage with soldiers. And there were Muslim soldiers in the Israeli army. We met many Israeli soldiers that were in the army that were guarding us. Okay? Just so that we're not living in a world of delusion about the levels of betrayal. I got to engage with several soldiers. And as I was waiting for medical care, eventually medical care came because, for those of you that don't know, I was paralyzed before. I was on life support for 30 days, ICU 40 days, hospital 4 months, rehab for 18. I only had movement of my eyes. I was on nasogastric feeding for several months. I could not talk. I had to learn to do everything from scratch. That is part of a syndrome, autoimmune, called Guillain-Barré syndrome. That was in 2010, 2011. After that, I got cancer. I had a bilateral mastectomy, and then a year of chemotherapy. So I needed to get care in hospital. And remember, there are other people, medical care in prison. And remember, there were other people that would have been on antidepressants, on anxiolytics, on ADHD medication, on BP medication, on insulin with sugar stuff, right? All of that was denied. So imagine if you want antidepressants or anxiety medication and suddenly you in prison, you're not getting anything. Or you need it for your sugar levels, your insulin. These were serious situations. So while I was, the lawyer had written for me to get medical care, and we had been demanding and really banging on the doors of the prison and really raising the alarm amongst all the cells, because we had a chain of cells, a way to communicate with each cell. And I got to go to the doctor, and as I was sitting with the doctor, got to speak with some other comrades to a soldier. And he was saying, in the slides, their understanding that Israel, this is what he said, Israel gave Gaza to the Palestinians in 2005, and look what they did with it. I mean, this is the crazy that in the narratives of what Israelis know. When asked about the details of the Balfour Declaration, had absolutely no clue, and said that we were Hamas, that we were members of Hamas, that the leadership of the flotilla was Hamas. When we asked the Muslim soldiers why they were in the Israeli army, they said because they're fighting Hamas. And so we see the levels of Hasbara that is now in South Africa being told about the flotilla. If we are not Hamas, then it's because we had no aid. And I testify in front of everyone here present today that I was one of the people that counted the aid on the Florida boat, myself personally with my comrade sister Zuki Swawana. And I was one of the people that counted the aid on the Amsterdam boat with my comrade Donna from Ireland. If there was a can and it was 450 grams, we took that, we counted the number of cans, multiplied it, and added all the grammage up. We had to submit this. We also took videos of the aid that we had, right? So the fact that they're saying that this was a publicity stunt, that there was no aid and our boats were a mess, it's because you took our aid and you trashed our boats. The second part of that is that we were opening up a sustainable humanitarian sea corridor of aid. So it wasn't to carry all the aid. I mean, it's impossible. It's a symbolic act so that big ships behind us could open up this humanitarian sea corridor of aid. And so this is what we have to fight, the lies. And the Hasbara continues. Right now, Zionists in South Africa are buying up plots, acres and acres of land and displacing people. Right now in South Africa, Zionists are coming in plane loads here to South Africa. Right now in South Africa, right, we have IOF soldiers walking around that took part in the genocide, that have not been, whose names have not been published, who have not been prosecuted as yet. We have the South African Zionist Federation, a hate group that still is able to spew all sorts of lies. Okay? And so we have to be clear on what is our position on the truth and how this gets twisted in this Israeli propaganda machinery, the Zionist propaganda machinery that is alive and well in this country. And let us not be deluded about who that is. I'm not going to tell you, you know who this is, and you know who I'm talking about. And you know your complicity, my complicity, and others in our community's complicity. And that's a reckoning. That is our reckoning. That is our reckoning. Yeah.
May I, you talk about complicity. That's the thing that worries me. Why so many South Africans, I'm Christian by faith, and that doesn't deny me my activism towards the Palestinian people.
Absolutely.
And I have a question because, I look at Judeo-Christianity, right? And the misconception of how Christians, fundamentalist Christians, they see themselves as pro-Israeli. And I can't understand it because it worries me because, and then when I go on demonstrations with my brothers here, my Muslim brothers, and I stand in the street, but there's an absence of Christians, Hindus, because of the religious bigotry. It worries me. So I want to ask the question, maybe I should be very brief, I don't want to dominate.
No, not at all.
Is the war in Palestine, the genocide, it's political. It's not religious. Now that's the thing that I want to debunk, demystify. That is not a Muslim thing, because if you look at Yasser Arafat's wife, she was Catholic, like me. Would you believe it?
Yeah.
So I can't understand where I can get my Christian brothers to understand that Jesus, if he was alive, would have been massacred in Bethlehem. Because he's from Bethlehem, is part of Gaza.
Absolutely.
So I can't understand. I mean, you just have a simple thing of the understandings of Christ's teachings, or even Muhammad's teachings, because it's so, mixed. It's so similar. And I want to. I don't know how we're going to put it to people that it's not a religious war. It's a political war, like what happened here in South Africa.
Absolutely. I really thank you for bringing that perspective and commend you for your bravery in standing pretty much with very little support from your community in making voice, organizing and mobilizing for the Palestinian struggle for decades. I was at St. George's Cathedral at 104 weeks of a vigil. They have had, with Father Michael, a vigil in every Wednesday from 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock. Before I left, the day I flew, I was at St. George's Cathedral in a multi-faith, interfaith vigil that is hosted by St. George's Cathedral, speaking up against the genocide and this occupation. And that was at 104 weeks, every single Wednesday from 12 to 1 o'clock. What is happening right now is that Zionists are flying South Africans to Israel, showing them as part of, some of them the birthright, others is just pure propaganda, flying them to Israel, showing them the beautiful Israel, that everybody lives equally, harmoniously, has a good, beautiful life, there's no apartheid there, including our political parties, including our political members of our political parties. Exactly what they do with AIPAC in the US, in lobbying, in funding trips, in backdoor deals. This is exactly what is happening. And so these black and colored intelligentsia are coming back to South Africa and are forming these pockets, strengthening these pockets of Christian Zionism that is growing in leaps and bounds. And this is what we need to speak truth to. So thank you so much for raising that. I was at the Church of Sepulchre, just as an aside. The Church of Sepulchre, I was there a few years ago. And it was the most beautiful experience to be in the presence of that church and to be amongst fellow Christians. And I met the member of the Nusayba family. He is a Muslim that the Nusayba family holds the key to the door of the Church of Sepulchre. And I have a picture with this gentleman, Brother Nusayba, an old gentleman who has been holding this key to the Church of Sepulchre. So the relationship between Muslims and Christians is one of harmony. The relationship between Muslims and Jews has been one of harmony, historically. But it is the Zionist ideologies which we are against that promote superior race and racism. And this violent occupation with this notion of a greater Israel. Thank you.
And although these Palestinians suffer, although we are devastated, sad, and in deep pain, we speak well at night. And it's because we know the truth.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. I really want to hear from the young men in the room, and I'm going to take 3 questions from the young men specifically. Okay. Something. Oh, okay. Thank you.
I think you covered it.
Okay.
I'm a teacher. And as human beings, we cannot be silent when we see what is happening to the people of Palestine. They are being massacred. They are being killed. Children are being starved to death. And as human beings, we are against this ideology of Zionism. They are evil in our minds, all of us sitting here. We are against that evil ideology which says we must kill children, we must kill women. And you coming there 70 or 80 years ago and stealing the land which belonged to the people who were living there. We must continue fighting to ensure a free Palestine. There's no doubt in my mind that Palestine must be free. And the people who are there must, Israel, deep in their hearts, they know that they are evil. Despite what they have done over the many, many years, Fatima, what they have done, the people still share. They still sing, and they still dance, and they still stand. Although Israel has the most powerful army, but they will never succeed. Free, free Palestine.
Free, free Palestine.
From the river to the sea.
From the river to the sea.
Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to take 3 questions from the young men here, and I think it's really important that we do. So don't look behind you, look inside of you. Yes, we have a question. Thank you. Your name and your grade. Grade 9? Nice to meet you. Stand up here. Wow, that's a really good question. What ethical or moral challenges did we face? That's a really, really powerful question. I think for me, the biggest one was that there was an expectation that we created that we would reach the shores of Gaza, and that we never did. And we had Palestinians. We got messages. I was on the phone with Palestinians, waiting for our arrival. When are you coming? There was a reception committee that had organized from Palestine, waiting for the flotilla, asking what we wanted to eat. They have nothing, but asking what we wanted to eat so that they would welcome us as from Palestine. So when we were intercepted and we never got there, I'm still in touch with the therapists that are there. And it makes my heart really, really sad that materially nothing has changed. They've moved to the north of Gaza. There's still no water. There's still no food. The famine is still raging. So materially in the so-called ceasefire, nothing has changed. And these are, we talk about lies. This ceasefire are legal obligations. It's not a peace plan. Do not be deluded that this is a peace plan. These are legal obligations to stop the genocide, to stop killing people. You started this genocide, you are bombing them, now you stop bombing them, and now you're calling it a peace plan. I mean, just think about that logic. These are legal obligations to let aid in. You are obliged to let aid in. To feed people and to withhold food and water is a war crime. It's not a peace plan, it's a war crime. to release the hostages is a legal obligation. This so-called peace plan does not account for occupied West Bank. It is settler colonialism where they are taking over Gaza in broad daylight by the US. They literally colonizing Gaza. That is what they are doing. And then you have Trump standing in the middle there, peace 2025, all the betrayal that has come through with the thumbs up to come and take photo opportunities of this incredible peace plan. Of course we want reprieve. Of course we want the bombing and the killing to stop. Of course. But this is not anywhere near justice for accounting for the war crimes, ethnic cleansing, forced displacement and this genocide that has to be accounted for. They fast forwarded to a reconstruction. We're going to reconstruct Gaza. What do you think is going to happen when they start excavating? What are they going to find? Bodies. Bodies. Hundreds and thousands of bodies. Not just 67,000 or 68,000 people that have been massacred in this genocide. So thank you, young man. That was a very, very good question. Well done. Two other young men from the back. Like I said, don't look to your right, your left, behind you. Look inside of you and figure out a question. Our rijal in the room, huh? Two. You have? Can I just? Can I just get the two questions? Oh, thank you so much, Shukran. Can two questions, and then we'll go to our brother comrade here. Yes, at the back. Thank you. Sorry, who are you? Okay, are you an educator or student or? Sorry, I just want to know who. Who is he? He's the principal. Are you the principal? It is so cool to meet you. Oh, okay, Alhamdulillah. Thank you. That's really funny. I love this lightheartedness. Thank you. Shukran. Thank you so much. Were there any Jews present with us in the flotilla? Yes, there was Jewish Voices for Palestine, JVP, and also our comrades, Joe from South Africa, Jared. They didn't make it onto the boats, but they have been strong activists and pay a very heavy price for their participation. I came home to a community, right? I left from a community, I came to a community. There are people that went alone or went from their families. They've been disowned, they've lost their jobs, they've been evicted from their homes, their partners have left them, husband, divorces, relationships ended. And people pay these heavy prices for their Palestinian activism. So we need to really be conscious about the heavy price that truth comes with. Thank you. One more question, and then I'll go to the front. One more. You've done well. One more. No, different person. Thank you. Rescuing our brothers. One more. One more before I pick on someone. Oh, I see. Okay. One other question. I'll wait. I'm very used to waiting. Don't worry. There's absolutely no rush. So I'll take as long as I can. And I'm doing this deliberately for a reason. Finally, let's give him a round of applause. Okay. Okay, what's your name? Huh? Hamza. Nice to meet you, Hamza. Powerful name you have there. Did we have problems praying Salah? In the cell, on the boat? Okay, because on the boat it was wonderful, both, okay. On the boat, we had an imam, and I really had a beautiful boat. I would not trade them for the world. They were really, really good people. I spent a lot of time with Donna, who's from Ireland, and we were on night watch most of the time, together with the captain, to make sure we gave the captain lots of coffee. She would guard the front for the drones, and I would guard the back of the boat for the drones and report it. And we would take turns driving the ship, the boat. But for prayer, we would stand and then immediately sit, because you couldn't stand on the boat. It was really like that. And so we had Jummah on the boat, we had recited Quran, did adhkar. It was so beautiful. Adhan over the Mediterranean. In prison, we had the Qibla direction. I prayed in front of solitary confinement, solitary cells. Spirituality was a very, very important part. Donna's a Christian sister from Ireland, and so we shared many moments, her sharing her insights and the teachings from Prophet Jesus, peace and blessings be upon him, and me sharing my perspectives. So thank you so, so much. Thank you.
No, I wasn't going to ask.
Oh, it wasn't. Oh.
Inspire them.
Oh, yes.
I'm a teacher.
Oh.
But I'll ask them the question, but I don't think they'll get the answer.
Oh, okay.
There was a great leader who said that South Africa can never be free as long as Palestine is not free. You must come to the front and answer. Okay, but you take the answer.
Okay, yes, who was it? Nelson Mandela Madiba. Well done. So there was a reason, just in conclusion, because we need to talk about the way forward and what we need to do. This is important. There was a brother Khalid on the boat, and he had cerebral palsy. So imagine, cerebral palsy and 4 heart stents, right? And we were very close on the boat. He was a journalist. And this brother, he cleaned the toilets. He washed the dishes. He cleaned the cabin. This is the level of service, selflessness that it took to be on the boat, right? So we have to serve in our homes. The men were the ones that were cleaning, scrubbing, doing a lot of the grimy, dirty work on the boats, together with the women in partnership. And so we need to ask the question, what type of human being am I showing up as in my home? Am I leaving my plates on the table and mommy's doing coddling and doing everything for me? Because we have a problem, brothers. The men we are raising are weak. We are weak. And we have got to step up. This generation of men and women need to know how to fly aeroplanes, captain boats, learn how to speak many, many languages. You've got to learn French, Spanish, Arabic, okay? Portuguese. We are living in a global world, and we have got to step up. So, not only do we need to be physically strong, everybody, but spiritually strong and intellectually smart. And that is our challenge. So thank you for that information, for letting me say that. I want to close with the actions that we need to take. BDS. How many of you have heard of BDS? Wow. BDS. Okay. B stands for boycott. D stands for divestment. S stands for sanctions. Boycott, divestment, and sanctions. There is a list that we have on the website, BDS Coalition, of products we need to be boycotting. And we need to make sure as a community, as families, as youth, that we're holding our businesses as well as our own pockets to account. We cannot talk for Palestine and buy products that's manufactured in occupied Palestine on stolen lands. We cannot do that. So your K-Way jackets, your Cape Union Mart, Poetry, McDonald's, KFC, Ariel, Lux, Dove, Clover. There is a list. Coca-Cola. You go, if you are at a function, and I've done this, and I see a Coke bottle on the table, I take it off the table. I go to the host and I say, it's really a pleasure to be here. I'm so sorry. This has to come off the tables. This is the action that we need. We're done with being polite. We are going to lose to Zionism in this country, and we are doing the Palestinian struggle a very big disservice and a betrayal by going to Starbucks. Starbucks is closing 400 stores because of the international boycott. Okay? So, what has turned the tide for the ceasefire? It is the live streaming of this genocide by the Palestinians themselves and their own resistance through existence that has caused the ceasefire. And the human collective effort by every single person that has mobilized, organized, made voice, and chosen where to spend their money. So be part of the movement, or be part of those that betray the cause. Thank you so, so much for this opportunity. Amandla! Amandla! Okay, y'all don't know Amandla. When I say Amandla, you say aware to. The people's power. Okay, got it? Amandla! Ewa. Amandla! Amandla! Ewa, ewa. Viva Palestine! Viva Palestine! Viva Palestine! Viva Palestine! Allah.
Thank you so much, Dr. Fathima Hendricks, for this inspiring talk.
Yeah, okay.
We have been inspired, and I'm sure when we go home today, if we've been guilty, that word guilt is a horrible word, but if we've been guilty of having any one of those products in our home, we're going to go and clean up. Before Juma, we're going to get rid of that hope that you're going to have with your biryani today. So please, think of the Palestinians and think of what they have been going through. Ma'am is just asking for a really small sacrifice. When you are doing your shopping, make sure none of those products are in that basket. Again, thank you so much to Dr. Fathima Hendricks, but we have Sister Aisha Kareem, who is going to be doing an honor by handing over a plaque to ma'am for her amazing work.
Nizamia Islamic School and community of Palestine. We are now important it's a true, real honor to have you at every Gaza event, at everyone.
Thank you so much, Aisha. Now I would like to call on Mr. Sunil Mahabir from the Department of Education, whom we have learned a lot from and still have a lot to learn from, to do the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Program Director. I think we were all overawed, inspired, humbled, and elated to have listened to the words of wisdom, the voice of experience, the voice of sacrifice and struggle, a living example of an individual who embraces her faith, and her faith provides her with the necessary resilience, emotional strength, and intellectual acumen to play such a pivotal role in the struggle against Zionism, showing us what it's all about to be a South African woman of black descent who's at the epicenter of the struggle with the solidarity of the people of Palestine and the occupied territories. Doctor, we listened to you and we were really humbled and privileged to have been part of your discourse this morning. You presented such a clear, ideologically clear picture in terms of the issues that we've been grappling with as South Africans for a long, long time. And we want to say a huge thank you to Dr. Hendricks for being with us, coming down to KZN, speaking last night in Durban, coming to PMB, going to Potchefstroom, having other engagements. And this is the voice of struggle. This is the voice of sacrifice. And she is in so many ways the embodiment. She epitomizes what struggle is all about. And we are really in awe of you. Friends, we also want to say a big thank you to members of the Palestinian Solidarity grouping in Maritzburg, the PSG. We were established over 2 years ago, and one of the founders of our grouping, late Comrade Yusuf Bamji, isn't with us anymore. Comrade Yusuf unfortunately passed away earlier this year, and he was our rock. He was our source of strength and support within the PSG, and you all know his record in terms of his fight against oppression and exploitation. I also want to thank the mothers, the grannies, the aunts for being with us, the love that you share, and the ongoing support that you provided us with in terms of our solidarity efforts in PMB. Doctor, in Maritzburg, there's a lot of activity that we've embarked upon, and we receive a tremendous amount of support from the mothers. Ironically, the men who should also be an integral part of this struggle are frequently absent, but the mothers are the ones who provide us with emotional strength and resolve. Doctor, I also want to say thank you to 3 members of the PSG who are present here. My sister Anissa, where's Anissa gone to? How is it? Anissa Hatia.
She's got two beautiful boys, one of whom is at this school. And for every activity of ours, every activity, Anisa is the first one there with her children. Cooking, cleaning, a professional, but she is there on the street with us. And she's also brilliant in terms of web designing and doing wonderful things on the laptop. So we really are so proud of Anisa. We also have our Hafiz here who, he is our pillar of strength and support, and we love him and thank him for always being with us. Dr. Hendricks, on my right, we have two very good-looking gentlemen. The first is Mr. Ramdeen. And Mr. Ramdeen is currently teaching at Maritzburg College, but he told the principal that today is the day when I'm taking leave from school and I'm coming here because I want to be with Dr. Hendricks, I want to be with you. Mr. Ramdeen is also an individual who's been involved in struggle for a long, long time, and his father, Dr. Hendricks, his father was under house arrest in South Africa for over how many years? His entire life, for over 4 decades, his father. In fact, if you ask the people in Maritzburg, the people who fought for non-racialism and for a free democratic South Africa, if you mention his father's first name, they don't know him. Because he had another name. What do you think his name was that they all knew him by? Comrade. So you speak about Comrade, and it was his father. And last but not least, Dr. Hendricks, our mentor, and a person who has been involved in struggle for over 55 years in KZN and in Maritzburg specifically. He's been a member of our movement when it was banned. He was detained several times, a political prisoner. He housed people who were on the run during the 7-day war in Edendale, when the IFP were massacring ANC comrades, and he housed them in his house. He looked after them, consistently harassed by security police. He was also a teacher who was hounded and harassed by the apartheid apparatus, the security apparatus of apartheid. And he's our brother, and we love him because whenever there's any activity that we embark upon, you just have to phone him, and he's the first one there. And we thank him for always being an individual who's synonymous with struggles against tyranny, injustices, and genocide. Comrade Janice Dixon. And then I have my sister Atika. Where's Atika? I'm told she's around, but I can't. Atika, she's a comrade, she's a soldier. Do you have the van here? Okay, Dr. Hendricks, you have to take a photograph with Atika at the van, because Atika is one of the first people in Maritzburg who said, we shall not drink Coke. She has a business, and she was one of the first people to actually walk the talk. Many of us, we talk the talk, but we don't walk the talk. She walked the talk by stopping the sale of Coke, stopping the sale of Clover products. So we want to salute you, Atika, as well. And we also want to thank our brother from The Witness, who's always been with us, a comrade journalist, an investigative journalist. Thank you so much, Kushalan. Great to see you again. Go well. Program Director, you are brilliant as per usual. And once again, enjoy the rest of your day, and Juma Mubarak to you. Thank you.
Okay, boys, we can move to the classroom. Right, we can move to the classrooms.